Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining Lewis University's television network. Today is Monday, November 30th. I'm Angel Olivo, and we begin today with our top national and international stories. President-elect Biden has chosen Kate Bedingfield to direct his all-female communications team. Senior positions include Press Secretary Jen Psaki and Director of Office of Management and Budget Neera Tanden. All three have experience in the White House as they served under the Obama administration. President-elect Joe Biden's victory in Wisconsin was reaffirmed with a recount. The recount was requested by President Trump's campaign, but only narrowed Biden's lead. Wisconsin is scheduled to announce Biden as the certified winner on Tuesday. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio will reopen elementary schools despite widespread criticism from people worried about the virus. Even as elementary schools are scheduled to reopen, de Blasio is set on keeping middle schools and high schools closed. De Blasio plans on changing systems in place throughout New York City to give parents more options. On Sunday, Governor Andrew Cuomo stated he is supportive of the mayor's plan. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court has rejected a bid by the Trump allies to stop the certification of election results in Pennsylvania. This challenge was brought by U.S. Representative Mike Kelly and another unnamed GOP candidate in Congress. The Supreme Court dismissed the case with prejudice, resulting in the case being thrown out. This means the case cannot be brought back to the court, bringing another end to Trump's campaign intentions to seek legal help. Police in Argentina raided the home and office of Diego Maradona's personal doctor, Leopard Luque, on Sunday as part of an investigation into the soccer legend's death. Maradona died of a heart attack at his Buenos Aires area home on November 25th, weeks after having surgery to relieve bleeding on his brain. About 60 officers raided the two locations, leaving with medical records. Prosecutors are looking into how Maradona was treated in his final days and are investigating Lucas for negligence that may have resulted in manslaughter charges, if found guilty. Coming up next, we'll take a look into the leading local headlines, and later we'll have the latest news on COVID-19. Stay with us.
Anytime they're playing music downstairs, it's loud. I go downstairs, see what they're doing, see what music they're doing, see what they're dancing to. I go play piano downstairs, they come get involved. Leah has a drum set beside it, banging that. Any music, that's what they do.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Or maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
United Airlines in Chicago began delivering the first shipment of the COVID-19 vaccine. The Federal Aviation Administration gave the thumbs up to begin the shipment of the vaccine. United Airlines and DHL are some of the companies in charge of delivering the vaccine. However, even if Pfizer's vaccine has started being delivered, it still may be weeks before the FDA approves the drug. LUTN reporter Frank Panos brings us an insight on a season that was anything but ordinary for the Lewis Cross Country team.
In 2020, many sports, activities, and life in general were put on hold. This was no different for sports at Lewis University, with the exception to the cross-country team.
I think that they were so appreciative to have the opportunity. When we were granted the opportunity to compete this fall, one of the things I told them is that you're the beacon of hope. You're the hope for the rest of the sports. So you have to model the behavior. You have to be the ones that set the tone, because if we complete this thing, they're going to look back and say, well, they, cross country was able to do this. We can too. This is, in a way, some sense of normalcy for them. Getting up and running and racing and competing and traveling and getting to be together, I think, was the light for them.
Though still able to compete, the mental and emotional toll still affected players. Therefore, sacrifices had to be made.
The sacrifices that I think everyone made in order to have this season happen, I don't know if we'll ever be able to truly document everything that everyone did, right?
Usually when competing in sports, your motivation is being able to win a championship. But in the situation now with the COVID-19 pandemic, the motivation for athletes is being able to continue their season in the first place.
Over the summer, I would go out for a run and I'd train, and I just think we might not even have a season. We all wanted to win so bad. We wanted that conference championship. We wanted to be the ones to end that historic streak of Southern Indiana's. It was definitely hard because we couldn't really hang out a lot outside of practice. We didn't do much because we knew if one person got sick, the whole team would have to shut down. Obviously, we had to make some accommodations, but small price to pay. We have a season. A lot of other sports don't. I'll get my temperature tested. I'll wear a mask. It's a small price to pay for being able to have a season and do what I love to do.
For LUTN, I'm Frank Panos.
Thank you, Frank, for your story. Wilton Gregory, a Chicago native, became the first African American to be promoted to cardinal within the Catholic Church on Saturday. Pope Francis elevated Cardinal Gregory about a year after racial protests occurred. Cardinal Gregory stated to the Associated Press that, quote, "There is awareness now of the need for racial reconciliation, an awareness that I have not seen at this level and at this intensity before." Over the weekend, at least 16 people were wounded and 7 killed across Chicago due to gun violence. 50 people were shot just last week in the Chicagoland area. The last shooting was a male on South Longwood Drive. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene. LUTN reporter Emily Krivergrad gives us a look at the aftermath of the U.S. election and how mail-in votes were validated.
Although Joe Biden has been declared as the president-elect, some people still feel the election wasn't valid due to the large numbers of mail-in votes. The Associated Press called the race on Saturday, November 7th. Validating these results and restoring confidence that Joe Biden is the legitimate winner, we spoke with poll watcher and voting fraud monitor Ed Ronkowski on his experience on Election Day.
We had poll watchers there while they were processing it, and sometimes there was multiple stations, so you'd have to have multiple poll watchers, and it was quite busy. When I was poll watching in one precinct, I was telling the election judge who was manning the station where they put the ballot in the ballot counter, don't let them leave until they actually hear a drop. What you need is experienced election judges that know some of these little tricks of the trade to speed things along, make sure everybody that should be voting votes once, and nobody is inadvertently denied their right to vote.
Student Senate President Jada Hoffman shared her experience as a first-time election judge and the climate of the polling place on Election Day.
Something that I observed was that there are a lot of people, a lot of first-time voters, and it wasn't just people that were my age. There were people who looked around 40, 50, 60 who were yeah, this is my first time voting. And I was just wow, this is your first time voting. You had all these years to do it. So it kind of just showed how powerful this election really was.
Some states switched from red to blue over the course of the election, making it seem like the projected winner would be President Donald Trump at first. However, states such as Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin voted blue in the last days of the election, contributing to Joe Biden's 4 million popular vote advantage.
For Joe Biden to receive as many votes as he did, and then for Kamala Harris to actually be the first woman that's the vice president, as well as the first Black woman that's the vice president. It was just all like history.
After the days of the country wondering who was winning the presidential race, the election of President-elect Joe Biden marks a new era in the White House. For LUTN, I'm Emily Krivograd.
In 2020,
Although Joe Biden has
many
been declared as
sports
the
activities.
Anytime they're playing music downstairs, it's loud. I go downstairs, see what they doing, see what music they doing, see what they dancing to. I go play piano downstairs, they come get involved. Leah has a drum set beside it, banging that. Any music, that's what they do.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
The coronavirus has set yet another record in hospitalizations. Public health officials are warning of another wave as the holiday season kicks off into full swing. Since October, hospitalizations have been steadily increasing, with it doubling over the past month. With many people ignoring warnings, there is a fear of a bigger wave of infections, especially with many Americans traveling over this Thanksgiving weekend. Over 40% of U.S. coronavirus deaths have been linked to nursing homes, with more than 116,000 COVID-19 deaths in the U.S. overall. Over 50,000 of those people have died in nursing homes or other care facilities during the outbreak of the virus. People claim that the federal government hasn't provided sufficient virus testing and protective gear for nursing homes so that they can operate under safe guidelines. Illinois health officials reported over 7,000 new confirmed COVID-19 cases and 57 new COVID-19 related deaths Sunday. The state also reported about 63,000 COVID-19 tests had been administered. The IDPH is currently reporting a total of 720,114 cases of COVID-19 and 12,193 deaths from COVID-19 across all 102 Illinois counties. The 7-day statewide test positivity rate is 12.1%. Dr. Anthony Fauci warned that COVID-19 cases could surge during the Thanksgiving holiday on Sunday and warned that distancing measures could be eased before Christmas Day. Coming up next, we have your full 5-day forecast, and later we'll have a look at sports. Stay tuned.
Anytime they're playing music downstairs, it's loud. I go downstairs, see what they doing, see what music they doing, see what they dancing to. I go play piano downstairs, they come get involved. Leah has a drum set beside it, banging that. Any music, that's what they do.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
There is currently a haze in Romeoville with a temperature of 28 degrees. Today we had a high of 36 and a low of 21. Tomorrow we'll have a high of 37 and a low of 21 as well. Wednesday we're looking at about a high of 45, a little nicer with the low of 21. Seems to be a trend. Thursday we'll have a high of 43 and a low of 27, with seeing a little bit of cloudy skies that day. Friday we'll have another cloudy day with a high of 43 and a low of 27. And over the weekend we'll continue our cloud streak with it being with seeing a high of 45 on Saturday and a low of 29. And finally Sunday we'll experience a little more chilly weather with a high of 39 and a low of 25. Remember to keep up with the LUTN weather on Facebook and Twitter. Now back to myself. Stay tuned for sports next.
Anytime they're playing music downstairs, it's loud. I go downstairs, see what they doing, see what music they doing, see what they dancing to. I go play piano downstairs, they come get involved. Leah has a drum set beside it, banging that. Any music, that's what they do.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzz warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
The Baltimore Ravens were scheduled to face off against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thanksgiving night, but thanks to a positive COVID-19 test, the game was rescheduled for Tuesday night. But the game is still up in the air. The Ravens had players being tested, and if the tests come back negative later today, then the Ravens will fly to Pittsburgh tonight. However, if a few tests come back positive, then the likelihood of the game being postponed yet again will be extremely high. Two legends returned to the squared circle as Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. fought an exhibition match on Saturday. The results of the bout was a draw. In the co-main event of the card, YouTube sensation Jake Paul knocked out former NBA player Nate Robinson in the second round. And that's all for today's news. Thanks for watching. My name is Angel Olivo, and have a good night.